The best atheist arguments that may disprove God, ranked on a tier list. If you guys haven't been seeing these tier lists, these are pretty fun. S is the highest.
S tier is the best.
The best. The S tier is the best.
We have all the little icons, and the icons represent the different arguments.
Okay.
The problem of evil first. Tell me about the problem of evil.
Well, the problem of evil is if all good, all knowing, all loving God exists, why does he allow evil to exist? Right? Because all of those can't be true. He can't be all good, he can't be all knowing, and he can't be all loving if evil persists.
Yeah.
So I'd probably put that as like a B. I think the problem of evil is good. I mean, that was the thing that was the big one that I had to get over, if I'm honest, right? I had to get over the problem of evil.
So why is it a B for you?
Because it's not quite at the level of, the best of the best.
Yeah.
And it's not a bad argument. It's a legitimate argument that many people wrestle with.
It's more subjective, I guess, but depending on personality, whether someone would think it's the best.
Mm-hmm.
All right, here's an interesting one. All right, this one is going to be which world religion is right? If God is real, then everyone believes their religion is right. It could be just because you were born in a certain area that you're Christian and not Muslim. Where'd you rank that?
Yeah, I think that would be ranked lower. I would probably put it in a D category. Because there's multiple truth claims, it doesn't mean all the truth claims are right.
Okay.
There could be all kinds of truth claims from false sources or sources that don't have all the evidence.
Yep.
That is not necessarily the doctrine. I don't even know if it is an official doctrine in anything, that everyone who hasn't heard the gospel is going to hell by default.
Yeah.
That's kind of the straw man of this view, is like, because Christianity is true, other religions are false. So what you're alluding is that anyone who hasn't heard of Jesus is going to hell by default. Only like fundamentalists believe that. Almost every other stream of Christianity has some sort of other pathway for them, right? The Catholics got Vatican II.
Yeah.
Protestants have common grace or common knowledge. I'm sure the Orthodox have a position for folks who've never heard.
Okay.
There's even the idea of doesn't really apply, but the idea of called age of accountability, right?
Yeah.
If kids aren't accountable for their own salvation up until a certain age of accountability, this is kind of like a Jewish view, then perhaps that can extend to people outside who haven't heard and don't. You can't be held accountable to what you don't know.
Okay.
Right. So yes, I would lower that. I would put that probably in the D, maybe F tier.
All right. How about religion is bad? It causes war, destruction. We got the Crusades. Yeah, it's an overall net negative for society. Therefore, that means God can't be real.
Oh, I think this is a bad one. I think this is a really bad one. Because
where are you thinking?
God, I would say D or F.
Okay.
Because
you can always move it.
Yeah, let's put it for now. Let's put it in the F category, and we might adjust these later. Because what people don't know about, like the Crusades, for example, is that the Crusades, unfortunately, were responsive to Islamic conquest.
Hello.
So you could be like, yo, Crusades bad, but what is the alternative? You just want Islam to just run the world?
Yeah.
Right? Because they would have eventually taken over the whole world had the Crusaders not stepped up. Now, granted, there was hundreds of years between conquest and them finally stepping up, but look at what they did to Istanbul, right?
Okay.
That was a huge Christian capital. Look what they did to Egypt. So,
well, let's flip it. Islam's destruction on society. Religion as a whole hasn't been a net negative. The institutions of religion.
The institutions of religion?
Because religion also includes Islam, not just the Crusades against Islam.
Oh, if we're talking broader religion?
Yeah.
Well, the most violent religion would be Islam.
Yeah.
Like I don't see the Jews
that's facts.
wiping out a bunch of people. I don't see the Christians wiping out a bunch of people outside of a response.
Yeah.
So, and I think this has kind of been debunked from the data as well, in terms of the civilizations that have caused the most amount of harm weren't doing it because of religious reasons.
Fair enough.
In terms of, we're talking about numbers of people dying. Go ahead.
Okay. Does the Bible condone slavery? Or the Bible condones slavery, therefore it means it's immoral, it's bad, and it probably means that Christianity is not true, especially.
Well, this was unfortunately Don's deconversion.
Really?
Right? Is that he discovered slavery and saw verses in the Bible that seem to create boundaries and parameters with slavery. and that they're not rejecting they're not condemning slavery. Why would a good God not flat out just reject slavery the way he rejected murder?
So for Don, this was S tier.
For Don, it sounds like this is S tier because there's passages, I think, I want to say Leviticus 25, where it says that there was you could buy if you have a Hebrew slave, on the year of Jubilee, 7 years, he gets his freedom back. But a non-Hebrew slave, you can keep permanently, and you can keep their descendants. Which is like, well, why would a good God, and we see slavery as wrong, why would these things be allowed to exist? So for Don, this was a high level. I wouldn't put it at an S. I'd probably put it at a C. I think it's a better argument in terms of the attack on objective morality.
Okay.
Like an attack on, like, how could you say there's objective morality when the things we find moral now, we see allowed in the scriptures?
Gotcha.
Right? And I would say what's happening with that argument specifically is something called presentism. Is you're looking at the scriptures through a present lens, and in hindsight, you're trying to take incremental advancements of human rights and all these different things, and you're trying to say, which by the way was all influenced by the Christians.
Okay.
The abolitionists were Christians.
The
people that made sure slavery was outlawed were Christians. And you're taking a present view, and then you're looking at everything through hindsight, wondering why these things are bad, without factoring in that the majority of the world has been chaotic. The majority of the world has conquered each other, taken people as slaves, did disgusting, awful, inhumane things. And the reason why so much of that subsided is because of the message of Christianity going forward. And that's not an original thought. That's by Tom Holland, not the Spider-Man actor, in his book Dominion.
All right.
But I understand how people could read those passages and struggle with them. I'm not mad at it. The Occupy Till I Come 60-day devotional is back in stock. This is taking you through the entire narrative of the scriptures in 60 days with custom daily devotional prompts. So what you're doing is you're spending 35 days in the Old Testament, 25 days in the New Testament, going over all the major stories. There's additional reading for you to go deeper if you want to go deeper on the stories. And you can get them right now bundled up with a virtual ticket to our Bless God Summit. Bless God Summit is coming up March 27th, 28th, 29th in beautiful Southern California. My favorite podcasters, apologists, pastors, preachers, entrepreneurs, all in the same room. Day 1, we're talking about apologetics. Day 2, we're talking about virtue. Day 3, we're going out into the marketplace and being the hands and feet of Jesus. This is going to be a wonderful event. And what you could do is you could actually get the devotional bundled with the virtual ticket for only $65. So go to blessgodshop.com, get yourself a 60-day devotional. I promise you the feedback on these has been crazy. You will love it. Designed by my guy, Josh Nadeau from Sword and Pencil. The beautiful artwork, okay? So go to blessgod.shop, get yours now, okay? Mean the world to me.
All right, this is a little bit of a wild card.
Okay.
Chris threw this in there. This almost turned Chris atheist.
Okay.
How could there be a God if a movie like God's Not Dead exists, yet continues to be funded for multiple series?
Is there multiple ones?
Dude, there's like 50.
No. You can't keep getting away with it.
I mean, there's like 5 or 6, bro. So God's Not Dead. Is that, dare I say, is that S tier? Reason to believe that.
Let's put that in the A tier.
Okay, we'll put that in the A tier. Fair enough. Fair enough. Okay.
That's a pretty bad movie.
It's a pretty bad movie.
Pretty bad movie.
Yeah.
It's interesting because it's
if
anchored
if those people had the spirit.
Yeah.
This is what the atheists would say. They had the spirit.
They would never make a movie that bad.
They would never make a movie that bad.
The premise wasn't bad. The premise on Nietzsche, I think I say his name, Nietzsche, and saying that like God's dead, but like what he said outside of that was not good. Like he was saying like, if civilization and society doesn't have God, the things that come after is what we see now in the West.
Yeah, I'm talking about the movies though.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is like
the homeschool movie.
The idea and the premise of it wasn't
Okay,
bad.
saying, yeah.
Had they actually gone deeper into what Nietzsche was saying in the macro sense, even though Nietzsche was not a Christian, you know what I mean? He had some good insight. So go ahead.
Okay. How about the God of the Gaps theory?
Okay.
Do you want to explain this one?
The God of the Gaps, I think, is a view where you just use God to explain away things that are mysterious.
Yeah, as we become more advanced civilization, we learn about things. The things that we can't explain, we throw God in. But if you were to go back 300 years, there would be things that we said were God, but turned out to be quote unquote natural causes. This is what the atheists would say, right?
Yeah.
Where would you put the God of the gaps theory?
I think either way, you're gonna have a gaps theory somewhere in there, right? So if you can't, if we can't use the God of the gaps theory, then you can't use the universe had a beginning theory. You can't use the universe had a beginning because you still got to explain that away to me.
Gotcha.
So I think this is a bad argument personally. I think I would probably put that in a D.
D?
Yeah, I think I put that in D category.
Now we're getting into some spicy spots.
All right.
How about animal suffering? Christians would say that human suffering, God uses human suffering to, build character, right? And all things work for the glory of God. But that doesn't play out for animal suffering. Therefore, suffering is just an evil, and God allows evil.
Yeah, I think that this is funny to me.
Animal suffering's funny.
Because we never talk about plant suffering.
Okay, fair enough.
So you're going to talk about animal suffering. What about plant suffering?
Yeah.
And there are plants that they say can feel, and there are plants that can even potentially have sentience.
Yeah.
We don't know.
Yeah.
So why are we so upset at animal suffering, yet we don't care about ants suffering?
Yeah.
We don't care about plants suffering.
Come on.
I think it's a bad argument. I think animal suffering, and there is a humane way to kill an animal. I do believe that, right?
Wow.
But I think the idea
first.
of animal suffering is silly because there's a clear hierarchy. There's a clear order. There's a clear, hey, this animal eats this animal eats this animal.
Yep.
Animal suffering already exists. And humans eating animals actually mitigates animal suffering. I was with someone out in Lake Tahoe, and we were talking about hunting, and he was explaining that one of the worst things you could do as a hunter is to shoot and hit an animal and it get away from you.
Yeah.
Yep. And I was like, why is that? And he's like, because what the other prey will do to that animal
is way worse.
Right?
That's crazy.
So the idea that because this is usually connected to veganism, right? I'm thinking of Alex O'Connor here. Better to hunt and kill that animal in the most humane way possible than for that animal and what's going to happen to it in the wild. I'm speaking specifically of eating animals, and I think how that's good and that there's value to that. We also don't know how sentient animals are. There's a spectrum there.
Yeah.
Right? Let's be honest, there's a spectrum there with dogs.
Oh yeah.
There are dogs.
Some breeds are just dumb.
And some breeds are just dumb, yes.
And some breeds are like, I'll have a bowl of cereal in the morning while they're putting their t-shirt on, getting ready for elementary school.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
So I think the tough part is we don't know how sentient they are.
Yeah.
And it's also that we don't know if dogs go to heaven or not, right? But I think there's an argument to be made that potentially animals go to heaven.
My dog doesn't.
I think Cameron from Capturing Christianity did this whole thing by
If my dog goes to heaven, I'm pissed.
Yeah. Your dog's a bit much. Okay, yeah,
She's on the chopping block.
I would put that in the F category.
F category. Yeah. It's that bad. Animal suffering.
I think it's pretty bad.
Fair enough. I think it was Russell Brand that pointed out that the vegans aren't as kind to plant life either, like you were saying, because they target the infant versions of things. Baby lettuce, baby carrots. And that's dark. All right, next one. We have Isaiah scrolls are only 95% accurate. Where would you put this?
Word for word identical.
Wow.
Okay. They discover the Isaiah scrolls. It pushes back our knowledge 1,000 years, but there is 5% discrepancy.
That's S tier, baby.
S tier. Okay.
That's S tier, bro.
Okay, that is for
what
sure.
What are we gonna do, guys?
What are we gonna do about all the ands?
All the ands.
Yeah.
Dan McClellan, he's gonna lose sleep over all the ands in the translations.
Yeah. They were not shocked or excited. They were surprised.
But it was the greatest archaeological discovery of all time.
It was the greatest archaeological. Yes. Okay.
Yeah. No, that's a good one.
How about lack of evidence? Neil deGrasse Tyson comes to mind. I'm open to the evidence. You just got to show me.
Can we Google the word evidence real quick?
Alrighty.
Because I think this is an important one. I think it depends on what you define as evidence. The available body of facts or information indicating whether a belief or presupposition is true or valid. Okay, proof, confirmation, verification, corroboration. So the available body of facts or information indicating whether a belief or presupposition is true or valid. There is the body of facts and information. I think what atheists do, and we can go back to the chart, is they will take that word evidence and they will try to parallel it to an evidence like the evidence of this can of soda had the amount of sugar or stevia that the label claims it has.
Hello.
Which, by the way, when I was in London and I was looking at their calories were different even on sugar-free drinks.
They list calories on like Zevia's?
Yeah, not Zevia's, like sugar-free Red Bull.
Right? Because they have a different
barometer. Because there is calories and zero-calorie stuff.
My Fitness Pal is freaking out right now.
Yeah. So if we take, if our definition of evidence is something that you can only take under a microscope and examine it to show that this actually has sugars and carbs and calories in it.
Yeah.
That's a very myopic view of evidence because the definition of evidence is different.
Yeah.
It's about information and facts around something. So when we're dealing with the resurrection of Jesus, there are specific facts and information about it.
Okay.
Jesus was crucified under Pilate. Jesus was a real person. Jesus had a public ministry, right? And Jesus' disciples all were convinced that he rose. And the way that story even came together with the women at the tomb was not the way you would create a false, like it wouldn't be a lie that you would propagate in that way.
And there's the photo of the Marian apparition.
And there's the evidence
which
of
is
the Marian
even
apparitions,
greater.
which is even greater evidence. Yeah. So I think when we're talking about the information around something, there's enough information that you have to corner yourself and say, a guy had a ministry. He predicted his own death. He did miracles. People followed him. He got crucified. All of these things we know, and his own apostles and disciples, the people that followed him, were convinced that he bodily rose at the expense, oftentimes, of great persecution. How do you sparse that? And I just don't think that a mass hallucination event is the logical, reasonable conclusion to that. So in terms of the evidence, I would probably put that. Let's put that at D, at the D level.
D tier. Lack of evidence.
Lack of evidence, again, it's all in how you define that word evidence.
Yep.
Now, if you want to get more technical, we can get into the Shroud of Turin. Is that going to be evidence?
I mean, that's pretty good.
Because the only evidence that would work for the atheist would be time machine, video camera, burning bush.
Yes.
You got to get one of the, and that's not how we go about any other area of life.
Yeah.
Right? You don't go about that way.
Okay. How about divine hiddenness of God?
Why doesn't God reveal himself? Why doesn't he just show up?
Hello. Yeah.
I mean, the same reason that the director and creator of a film isn't writing himself into the script.
Except unless you're Alfred Hitchcock.
Or Quentin Tarantino.
Come on.
Right? So, yeah, it would be like, why is Dallas Jenkins not in The Chosen?
Yeah, that'd be weird. He'd be look out of place.
Right? He'd look out of place. Right? The haircut.
The muscles.
The muscles.
Yeah.
I am the law of Moses.
You know, there wasn't no one lifting like that. We didn't have compound lifts 2,000 years ago. Cats weren't out here doing squats and deadlifts like Dallas Jenkins.
Come on. You're not hitting your 3,000 calories a day and 200 grams of protein.
So divine hiddenness is ironic because in the story of the gospel, Jesus does come into it.
Oh.
Abraham Bosom's story and Lazarus. And he says, if they didn't believe Moses and the prophets, they won't believe a man that comes back from the grave.
Come on.
So the funny part is the creator goes into the story.
He's already revealed himself, and you guys are still using the.
And you're like, divine hiddenness. Why won't God show up to me? It's like because the painter doesn't show himself to the painting and the characters in the painting.
Yeah, yeah. Exactly.
You know? And when he does, you still reject it.
And the Starry Night is a lot better painting without seeing Van Gogh missing an ear.
Yeah. All right. So yeah, I would put that as an F category.
F category.
Yeah, that's a bad argument. That's a bad argument.
All right.
What else we got?
Okay. Is God evil? Old Testament God. It kind of is in there with the slavery bit, but a lot of, genocide, God committing genocide.
I think that you can read the Old Testament myopically and really get in the weeds and not look at it in the meta-narrative and can come to some conclusions of trying to reconcile God's kind of wrath in the Old Testament with like the caricature of Jesus.
Yeah.
The interesting thing about the genocide thing, though, is that whenever they're instructed to wipe out everybody, which could be hyperbole, the people that they were supposed to wipe out pop in chapters later.
Yeah.
So either God wasn't being literal in what he was saying to them, or they were being disobedient.
So it wasn't actual genocide.
So it wasn't actual genocide. It could have potentially been hyperbole.
All right, where would you put it though? Rank
C.
it.
Let's put it at
C tier.
Yeah, C tier.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's a little challenging.
Yeah, it's a little challenging. I think it's tough to navigate around.
Yep. Church hurt. There are too many bad pastors an individual has encountered in their life, and they have yet to see someone fully live out the scriptures and Jesus's commands over a long enough time horizon. So there's no way.
Yeah. The hard part for this is probably the most emotionally damaging, but it's the worst actual argument.
Okay, but for the emotional reason, it's almost got to be a little bit higher so you can give some validity to like a
because if you meet a scumbag Raiders fan, that doesn't mean that every Raiders representative and that the team is evil.
Yeah,
which means they got some scumbag fans,
and there's a lot of them,
and there's a lot of scumbag Raiders fans.
So it's actually a really good correlation,
right? But that doesn't invalidate what the Raiders organization represents.
Yes.
The issue, though, is that can be very damaging for someone. If you meet some guys and they're all wearing...
Carson Palmer loves Jesus.
And they're all wearing Raiders jerseys and they jump you because you're at the wrong place at the wrong time, right?
Yeah.
Unbeknownst to you, you didn't know. You were just the wrong place at the wrong time. And then they jump you and they beat you to a bloody pulp. And they're all dripped out in Raiders gear.
Yeah.
You're probably going to feel a way towards the Raiders.
Fair enough.
So I get it. Like I get this, but I think this is a more emotional argument.
Okay.
Than
so
it is.
Put it a little bit lower here.
I think we should put it at like a C.
Okay.
I think church is a real thing for people that have really experienced some dark stuff, and I don't think we can invalidate those. I might even put it at a B.
Whoa, it's working its way up.
I don't know. What do you think?
No, I think it's good. No, I think
B or
right.
C?
I would say C.
Let's put it at C.
I would say C, but I would probably at the very, very end, we're gonna spend the last 25 seconds and literally just move these around based off of how destructive they actually have been to culture. And like, which ones do you see people deconverting from the most? And we'll rework it last 25 seconds. We don't have to explain it, but we'll just rework it. Hell. If God can send people to hell, then he continues to be evil.
Which kind of hell?
Eternal.
Eternal conscious torment hell?
Yeah.
I think this is a fair argument against a good God.
As in, it's very challenging.
It's very challenging to reconcile that.
Yeah, let's do A.
I don't think it's a great argument, but
you think it's a good argument?
I think it's a good argument. I think rectifying an all good God, and the fact that hell has people in it.
Yeah.
How can an all good God, especially in the soteriology of, the Calvinist paradigm, how does a good God intentionally play duck, duck, damn with people and send people to hell, create souls that he knows are going to spend an eternity in conscious torment?
Yeah.
I think that's a good argument.
That's a good argument.
Yep. All right.
Would you say it's the S tier of atheist arguments?
I don't think there is it S tier besides the Isaiah scroll.
Okay. Well, this last one might challenge it.
Okay.
The Emerald Tablets of Thoth.
S tier, baby.
S tier. Okay.
I got powerful people behind me. So you think you got powerful people behind you and you got zealots behind you? Congratulations.
Okay. Emerald Tablets.
They got us.
Yep. For those who don't know, explain what the Emerald Tablets of Thoth are, because this
is Billy Carson's entire thing. They discovered these tablets, and the tablets had the secrets of the universe written on them.
Yep.
And Billy Carson was able to be the foremost leading expert in ancient tablets and manuscripts and religion. And what he discovered was that all the Jesus stuff, not real. Jesus was really an alien.
Aliens.
And it was predicted.
Come on.
And that the aliens traveled and they built these civilizations and they were super duper advanced. And that's how the pyramids got built. And that is all of our modern mysteries go back to the tablets.
Were they proven to be forgeries?
I don't remember.
Okay.
The issue with them is that you can't read the language. That's the issue.
It's not like almost on our room.
Yeah, it's too ancient. Yeah, it's too ancient.
Okay, last 25 seconds. What would you rework here based off of destructiveness, meaning it has actually caused people to leave the faith from your perception?
I would say church hurt is probably really high up there.
All right, so it's the church hurt S tier. We'll move this down. This keeps Alex O'Connor, so that's at least going to be at a C tier. Emerald tablets, we'll drop down here. What else?
I would say, I mean, obviously, like God's Not Dead is not that serious,
but it probably is, and it should stay there.
I think there is a lot of misinformation about the Crusades, and I think a lot of people use the Crusades as like an indictment on all Christians, and I think that's a bogus argument.
Yeah.
But I would probably move that up higher.
B tier, A tier, or C
A
tier?
Probably A tier.
A tier, okay. Cool.
Yeah, I think that's done.
Problem of evil.
Probably. I don't know if a lot of people are deconverting because of the problem.
I think they're just using it to fight against.
They're fighting it. So probably maybe that could be. I think it's a good place in the B tier.
Yeah,
though.
I agree.
Yeah.
And then condoning slavery. I mean, that's got to jump up to at least a B.
Yes. That's had a huge effect, especially on Black Christians.
Yep.
Black Christians or Black folks who did not grow up Christian. That's definitely has done a number on people with regards to that. Like if you grew up culturally Christian and you read the passage on slavery and then you start thinking that, you start steel manning the white slave owner's view.
Yeah.
You know, I think that the unlock on that is just like point people to the slave Bible and say, look, in order for them to justify the Bible being pro-slavery, they have to take out a bunch of stuff. That to me debunks that whole argument, in my opinion.
So I feel like the last two that could move here would be lack of evidence or divine hiddenness from obviously the personal perspective. Because I feel like I hear people that are like, well, in the 25 years I was following Jesus, I never got any signs.
Yeah, that's cap.
You're just not paying attention. You haven't been writing in your Blessed God Prayer Journal.
Blessed God Prayer Journal, fam.
Let's go.
It's where you document your prayers. Yeah, I think that's a bad argument, honestly.
So keep it D maybe.
Yeah, like
Or
I feel like anyone who walks with God in a consistent and builds a consistent life of prayer and just remembers half of the stuff they prayed about will usually be shocked at how many prayers are getting answered.
That's a fact.
You know?
And if you're struggling with your faith, not to be a slimy salesman here, get the Blessed God Prayer Journal.
Why do you got to sell something every 5 minutes on this channel?
Go get the Blessed God Prayer Journal, write down your prayers, live the ways that we have been instructed in the Bible. You might actually see some crazy movement. That's an amazing episode. Thank you for filling out this tier list.
Yeah, let us know if there's a different tier list you'd like us to do. I think that was fun, though.
It's very fun.
Hey, thank you so much for checking out the video. Please be sure to comment below and subscribe and all that good stuff. And check out this other video that YouTube seems to be recommending just for you. Let me know if they nailed it. All right? I'll see you over there. Peace.